Hey, Simon, how are you?
I'm good, Ray. How are you?
Doing good. Ready to get some riding in tonight. How's your week been so far?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been a good last week of writing. It's bittersweet, but I'm really happy that we made it this far and we pivoted the best way we could.
Definitely. So I think we're gonna get started with ride deads pretty quick,
Okay, sounds good.
and I think we have a short video to play.
Texas 4000 is the largest annual charity bike ride that takes place every summer from Austin to Anchorage, Alaska, with the purpose of spreading our mission of hope, knowledge, and charity in the fight against cancer. A ride dedication is a way that we start a lot of our meetings or a lot of our rides. This is when we dedicate a ride or a part of our ride to somebody who has been in some way affected by cancer.
A ride dedication is motivation to me because when I'm going up a steep hill or it's been a really long ride, the ride dedications that I hear from my teammates and myself are the reasons that I keep riding.
Due to the current circumstances surrounding COVID-19, it's no longer safe for us to do our typical bicycle ride from Austin, Texas to Anchorage, Alaska. So instead, we've decided to do things virtually this summer.
So we will be having our cycling events virtually. We will be engaging with our community virtually.
A virtual ride dedication works largely the same way as a normal ride dedication. Before every meeting or before every virtual ride, you would say, I ride for this person. And if you want to, you can go into a little bit more detail about how that person touched your life.
You can submit your ride dedications via 3 different platforms. You can submit a ride dedication via the Texas 4000 webpage. You can join our Facebook live stream, or you can join our Zoom calls.
The virtual ride will be going on from May 29th to June 26th, and ride deads will be held before host interactions in the afternoon and at 7:30 to 8 a.m. Central Time every morning.
Thank you so much for participating.
Join us at texas4000.org. Together we can make a difference.
All right, it was a good video. Some good teammates in there. So if you're watching at home, now is the time to let us know your ride dedications. Post some ride dedications in the chat, and we'll make sure to relay them to our team, and we will be riding for those people tonight. So, Simon, do you want to kick it off with any specific ride deads for tonight?
Yeah, sure. So I want to make a ride dead today for all the healthcare workers. I'm sure, as we all know, Texas is seeing a spike right now in coronavirus cases. And especially want to make a ride dead for all my friends who are going to medical school or who are in medical school right now. This is a really interesting time to be a med student and be in the healthcare field. So yeah, I want to ride in their honor tonight.
Nice. I think tonight I'm always riding for my dad, my great aunt, and my cousin. But tonight I'm riding particularly for a good friend of mine at UT whose father passed away from cancer a few years ago. So riding for him. He was a big cyclist back in the day, so hopefully you can give me some strength to get through this 1 hour trainer ride.
Yeah, definitely. See if we have any comments. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, we start every ride with ride dedications in Texas 4000. We start Saturday rides specifically with big team-wide ride dedications where we all circle up and we hold hands and we basically just set our intention for the ride that day. And it can be, I mean, I remember, especially in January and February, it could be pretty cold, but outside, like in the parking lot. But even so, it's definitely the most special part of team rides.
Yeah, they can get pretty cold, definitely those Saturday mornings in Austin. But I know I don't know about you, but oftentimes I'll wake up on a Saturday morning and be just so tired, and even though I got like 8 to 10 hours of sleep and not want to get out of bed, but every time I do, and when I get to the CPE parking lot where we do our ride deads and get ready for the ride, it's worth it every time, and makes me really proud to be part of this organization.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think a big part of T4K is having to sacrifice those Friday nights, which is kind of difficult for a college student, but the ride deads in the morning are definitely worth it.
Definitely.
Oh,
Oh,
and here we
hey,
have
Bryn.
Bryn.
Sorry, y'all. My laptop is not working, so I had to borrow my roommate's. But
You're good.
maybe at work, we're fine. We figured it out.
Oh, and it seems like we have a ride dead from Eric Hurst, who'd like to ride for his dad, Frank Hurst, who passed from acute lymphoblastic leukemia in 2012, and for his father-in-law, Carl Webb, who also passed from cancer. We'll definitely be riding for them, Eric. Thank you for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Bryn, do you want to give us a ride dead since you just got on?
Let's see. I will ride for my friend, or my mom's friend, Deborah. I recently found out that she actually had lung cancer. She doesn't have it anymore, but she was treated for it in the past, and I didn't know that. So, riding for her. Yeah. And also riding for all of the fathers for Father's Day this past week. Obviously, also always riding for my dad, so it was really great to be able to spend time with family and love on him and everything for Father's Day. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Riding for all the fathers, as Father's Day was very, very recently
and
celebrated.
Yeah, and it's also can be a really hard day for a lot of people as well. So I know I don't know how it was for you, but I'm sure it was pretty hard. So riding for you as well. Everyone that has to go through that, it's hard on holidays when you're missing people that used to be there.
Yeah. Luckily, though, I do have Texas 4000 to, help me keep his legacy. And Madison Wiss, one of our teammates, gave us a ride dead.
Love you. Oh, yeah, I miss everyone so much. I think everyone feels that way. We haven't seen each other in months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lot of us haven't. Oh, it's Kathy's mom. Thank you. Dedicating to her dad and mom, as well as Chada, Lisa, and Luna. We'll be riding for them tonight. Hi, Mom.
Aw.
And Dad. They're probably both watching.
Thanks, Mr. Edgington. We'll ride for your stepdad, who is a survivor of prostate cancer, and all those who were not so fortunate.
Yeah.
And we have a fellow Sierra Dicer, Kathy, on our team. She's riding for her mom and dad tonight.
That parental support, what would we do without it? I don't know what that was for. What'd y'all do today?
Not enough.
Not enough, yeah.
Same. Way to put it.
Yeah.
I don't even
There's
know.
such a thing as too much time.
That's too much time. Yeah, it definitely feels that way. I don't even know what I did today.
I think I took 2 naps. It was one of those days.
Nikki.
Aw.
We miss you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about that. It's very true. All our dads tonight.
Oh, wow.
How appropriate.
Yeah.
I did not think of that either.
Yeah, it's like coincidence, but a good coincidence? I don't know.
A special one.
That's true. Riding in memory of Carly. And she just, thank you for registering. Yeah, we're sad that we don't get to see you guys too. Yeah, writing for you guys.
And Annalena, one of our other 2020 Sierra writers, she's writing for her Opa, who lost his battle to esophageal cancer, and her grandpa Pete, who lost his life to liver cancer. We're writing for them as well, Annalena.
Thank you for those, Annalena.
Of course, writing for Mason, our teammate Mason. Love you, Rachel.
Thanks for that one, Rachel.
Yeah, the special thing about ride dedications, I feel, is that, you can really, oftentimes, I'll get, if I'm wearing my jersey, in Austin, I would get stopped, by somebody, who just knew about Texas 4000, and they'd ask me to ride for someone, and I think one thing that's special about us is that we really do take ride dedication seriously, and if somebody asks us to ride for somebody, we definitely make that dedication before a ride. So I've given ride dedications for complete strangers. I remember one time I was panhandling on Lamar, I think, and there was actually a 2019 rider who stopped me and asked me to give a ride dedication. So that was really special. I don't know if that's happened to y'all.
Yeah, it actually happened to me on Saturday. I was doing a ride around Dallas, and this car pulled up to me at a stoplight and just rolled down their window and said, the guy said that cancer had taken his brother, and I asked him what his brother's name was, and he told me it was Tharvani Jenkins. So riding for Tharvani tonight, and gonna keep that pretty close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I had a past writer who I actually knew. He went to my high school, and we were in band together. But he wrote in 2017, and he donated to my page a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I'm not totally sure. It was recently, and he dedicated it to his mom. And his mom had been battling cancer for 6 years, I think, and she recently passed away. And so dedicating our ride to him and his family as they're going through that time of grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard.
We have a ride dead from Eric Hurst, who's writing for his good friend Tom Tucker's dad, who continues his fight with cancer in Florida.
Writing for him.
Yeah, it must be a really difficult time to be a cancer patient. I know it's a difficult time overall, just health-wise with coronavirus, but especially keeping cancer patients in my thoughts right now.
Mm. And Kathy has a ride dead for her grandfathers and grandmothers, for her parents, aunts, and uncles, and the 2020 team, and everyone affected by cancer. Thanks, Kathy. We love you.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my dad, because they're doing the COVID and cancer thing tomorrow night. And so me and my dad recorded a little video about it today. Answering questions and stuff about how things have been affected and everything. So that should be cool.
Yeah.
Kind of touching on what you were saying, how things have changed. So tune in if you want to see that. Me and my dad will be on there. Kind of cool. Yeah. If anyone else wants to comment any ride dedications, please go ahead and do it. I think we have about 5 more minutes until we are gonna prepare to ride. So leave your dedications in the comments. I'm riding for you today, the Sierra route.
Yeah, ride dads are definitely my favorite part of meeting. Yeah, and they can be pretty long, but it really doesn't feel like they're very long.
I think it like gets you in the mindset of, it just resets your focus on why we're there. And I think that's really important, because everyone at T4K has a lot going on and like busy weeks and everything, and it's important to focus on why we come to meetings and everything. Yeah, it was really important. I think it helped me carry people's stories as well, which just made it more important.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it really brings the community together as well. Like at the end of the day, which we're just 80 students at UT, but when you get into it, we have these stories that interconnect and have to do with a similar theme.
Yeah. We have a ride dead from Lindsay, who's a Sierra rider. She said, riding for her best friend and family, her grandparents, 2020 team, and everyone that's been supporting us through a virtual ride. Yeah, shout out to everybody that's stuck with us through this and been supporting us. We really appreciate it. We miss you, Lindsay.
When was the last time y'all rode outdoors?
Dude, it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, about 3 weeks ago.
So
I find it pretty scary to ride alone. I like our system of having like ride leads and ride groups.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Dude, I remember when I finally rode outside after however long riding on a trainer, and I was like, this is bliss.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Downhills.
Yeah, no, I miss riding in Austin because at least there are downhills, even if there are uphills. In Houston, it's kind of just like monotony.
Yeah, I just miss being outside. Like, it's just it's so nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. The wind, I think, is what I missed.
Oh yeah. Nothing substitutes a nice breeze.
Yeah.
It gets hot on the trainer.
Yeah. I have my fan set up. I don't know what I would do with it.
I didn't think I could humanly sweat as much as on a trainer.
Okay, Ray goes hard though. Ray goes hard on the trainer. Like, I don't think anyone has him beat.
No. Mahir, thank you for the ride dedication, man. We're gonna ride for your grandfather, your aunt, and all the people in communities that don't have the same resources and the people who fight for them.
Yeah.
And for us, of course.
Thanks, Mahir. Also a Sierra rider, shout out.
Yeah. Best route. Bar none.
Definitely.
I think we have like a minute-ish left, so if you want to leave any dedications, do so now. We're about to hop on our bikes.
And if y'all leave any dedications while we're getting ready for your while we're getting on our bikes, we'll make sure to announce them once we come back on the stream.
And you can leave dedications while we're biking too. So
yes, that too.
We're just able to more easily respond in this format.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna go bike.
We'll be back.
I think.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm looking forward to a fun evening tonight. My name is Eric Hurst, and I'm on the board of Texas 4000. I've been on the board for about seven or 8 years, I think now. It's been a little while, and it's something that I'm pretty passionate about. This is just a terrific organization, and I hope that those of you who are tuning in for the first time are going to learn a little bit more about the organization. When I'm not working for Texas 4000, my day job is I'm the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at the McCombs School of Business. And so tonight, what I'm really quite excited about is a guest that we've got, someone who I got to work with very, very closely while he was Dean of the McCombs School. We got to do a lot of fun stuff together, but now he finds himself with an office not over at McCombs, but in the Tower, and that is Interim President of the University of Texas, Jay Hartzell. So I'm very, very pleased that he's taken some time out from what surely is a busy schedule in his new role, and he'll spend some time with us tonight. And so, Jay, welcome. It's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Good to see you too, Eric.
We spent a lot of time face to face, and now we've gone into the same sort of routine that our riders have, which is social distancing, and we're in different cities at different times. But we'll get through all this. I'm pretty sure, and I suspect there'll be some questions of you along the way. But so why don't we introduce the riders who are going to be with us tonight? I know there are at least 3, and here we go. And all right, and I guess we only get 4 pictures on at a time. So, Raymond, do you want to introduce yourself? You're not muted, so why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what college you're in, what attracted you to T4K, and anything else you'd like to share along the way.
Definitely. So I'm in the College of Natural Sciences and the College of Liberal Arts. I'm a Plan 2 in chemistry, double major. And I originally joined Texas 4000 to ride for my aunt and my cousin. And while I've been a member of the team, my dad also was diagnosed with cancer. So I ride for him as well.
Well, yeah, that's tough. That's rough. And where are you riding today?
I'm in my house in Dallas.
Okay. All right. And Simon?
Hi there. I'm Semin. I just graduated from UT like a month ago with a degree in public health. So I just graduated from the College of Natural Sciences. And what originally attracted me to Texas 4000 was, honestly, I saw somebody wearing a shirt that said Texas 4000. And then I had a friend who did it the year prior. And I just got really interested in the mission. And I joined specifically for my dad, who battled lung cancer. He passed away last year, but he knew I was doing Texas 4000. So it ended up being something really special.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, and congratulations on graduating. And you're now on the front lines of all this, helping us all out in healthcare, broadly speaking. What are you going to be doing after all this ride goes away? What's your sort of your next step?
Yeah, so I'm going to start doing research in my gap year, and then I plan to apply to medical school and become a healthcare professional myself.
Oh, terrific. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
And Bryn,
Hey.
what's your story? You know the drill.
I didn't know what all the questions were. I didn't get to hear them.
Oh, there was a very long list of very difficult questions. They started with, would you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what college you're in, what you might be, what attracted you to Texas 4000 and so on.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm actually a nursing student at UT. I'm a senior. I'm graduating in December, so I have one more semester left. And then let's see, originally I was attracted to Texas 4000, I think because it was just an incredible group of people who did really amazing things. And I just thought, wow, I don't think I originally thought I could be someone that could do something like that.
Right.
But I decided to just go for it and put myself out there. And I think it was really, really cool to see a group of people that really rallied around something that was so important and so impactful. And I think I just wanted to be a part of that. So, yeah. My story, though, is I joined originally for some family friends of mine, like my middle school band director, whose husband passed away from brain cancer. And I had some neighbors growing up whose father passed away from lung cancer. And then my Aunt Mary, my dad's sister, had colon cancer. She's a cancer survivor now, so thank goodness for that. She's been cancer-free for a long time. But those were the main three people that I was writing for. And then over the course of my time in 24K, it changed, my reason, I guess, for writing. And my dad was actually diagnosed with cancer in January of this year. So that's definitely been a really big shift, and 24K has become a lot more personal for me. And the mission's become a lot more personal. And it's been really amazing to have a team that, in a unique way, can support me. And nobody else really can. So, yeah, it's been a really, really crazy journey with 24K. It's been really, really amazing. So that's me.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and I hope your dad does well and gets on the path to recovery.
Thank you.
So our special guest. I don't want to leave him just watching from a front row seat. I'd like to introduce the three of you to I was going to say Dean Hartzell, President Hartzell, and I call him Jay. But
Yeah, Jay's fine.
So Jay, you've been involved with Texas 4000. You've been to some of our events, right? You've been to Tribute,
Right.
a few years back, and you've seen all of these. You've seen the students and the jerseys and all that over town. What do you know about T4K, and what would you like to know more about?
Yeah, thanks, Eric, and it's good to see you all. And I am touched and impressed by each of you. I as Eric, you were down the hall from me, and we talked basically every day, and so I got to see T4K through our connection, and then started to recognize people that walked around campus, the T-shirts and the jerseys, and then going to Tribute and those pieces, and then I met alumni that I think, especially one out in the Bay Area, that was used to hosting the group when they would ride through. And that was a highlight of his summer that he looked forward to every year, of getting to host that group that went up the West Coast way. So my impression from afar is it's a really long bike ride. Does that seem right? And I've been impressed that people that I talked to, students I talked to, that really took up riding to do it in this next summer and had not ridden much at all before, kind of somehow got there over the course of a year and then finished. So to me, it's remarkable. I guess, part of what I was hoping to learn tonight is what's Texas 4000 in the COVID world look like. I guess I'm seeing it, but you could tell me how you're doing it.
So someone asked me a question about how many miles is it, given that it's a virtual ride, and so Bryn, you're the only one who's not on mute, so I'm gonna ask you: is there a goal for how many virtual miles or training miles, trainer using miles, that the team has for this year?
I think it's dependent on the rider. I think, each rider can do a certain amount depending on what they have access to, because not everyone has like a trainer and things like that. So I think they really encouraged us to just set individual goals based on what we were able to do with the resources that we had. So it really just depends. I know some people were like, okay, I'm gonna ride 1,000 miles over the course of this period of time. So yeah, it just depends, really. Obviously, we can't do the set amount of miles we were gonna do on the actual ride. So
Right. It would be hard to do that in a month, right?
Right.
Usually you take 70 days, a couple of days off.
Absolutely.
But, and before you were talking about the challenge of riding without real wind.
Yes.
If anyone's ridden a trainer, they know they really miss the wind.
Yeah, it's so different. I have a fan like right here because I don't think you can do it without one.
Right. Now I understand that the UT president purchased a trainer when COVID came down on us, thinking he was going to be doing a lot of that. And I haven't touched base with such president to find out whether he received it or he's using it or it's. So have you been using this trainer, Jay?
I have some, and my respect for you, Eric, and for the student riders has only risen. I learned after the first day that the stock seat that came with the thing caused a lot of pain. And so sort of lesson one was to go out and buy a gel seat cover thing that made it hurt less. I have not quite stepped up to bike shorts yet, but Dean Wood over in the engineering school is trying to convince me that's what I need really to help me get through what I'm trying to get through. Is that right for the riders? Does that seem fair? Yeah.
Yeah. Bike shorts are crucial.
Yeah. So I've done it some and
Oh yeah, you have to wear bike shorts.
Okay. And it's one of these. Go ahead, please.
Oh no, that's all I have to say.
No, I was just saying it's one of these things that has like a trainer on a video screen yelling at you to go faster. So So it's been good for me, but it's humbling.
Yeah, there is a reason. I think a lot of us are initially uncomfortable buying those spandex shorts. And then after we do, and we ride, we realize what a good idea it was. and we stop buying the $50 ones and we start buying the $150 ones because there is something to be said.
There's a quality difference
there.
Yeah, they're not the most fashionable items, but they do the job.
That's right.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad as long as I'm close to a bike when I have them on. It's when I'm far away from a bike and I have them on that I feel like there's something just fundamentally wrong with this picture.
Dean Wood said they feel like wearing a diaper, so she's trying to get me ready for it. So
yes, and you were talking about the Sierra ride, and I met her out in at Tom Fallon's home a couple of years ago when the Sierra Riders went through. And she actually rode across Golden Gate Bridge with them the next day.
Oh, wow.
There's a number of our faculty across across the university that participate in one way or the other. Now, it's my understanding that the three of you, I mean, the way in the Ride Dads you were all rooting for Sierra. Are you all three Sierra riders?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, well, at least you avoided the desert this year, which I understand is going across New Mexico and Arizona can be pretty rugged.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure it would have been fun. I'm disappointed for all of you that you haven't been able to do this. So, what's the fall? So I know what someone said is she's going to do in the fall, but what are the rest? And I guess Bryn, you're back to school.
Yeah.
Right? And Raymond, what's up with you? Remind me, what are you going to do in the fall?
So I'm going to be a senior in the fall. I'm currently applying to medical school right now.
Okay.
So actually just submitted my application. So hopefully do some interviewing in the fall, and I'll wrap up my studies in the spring, and then hopefully go off to medical school.
Okay. So
how hard was the MCAT, Raymond? My daughter's studying for it right now. She wants to take it in the fall.
Oh yeah. What was the question?
How hard is the MCAT?
It's the hardest test I've ever taken. It's not it's not like the SAT or the ACT where there's like an asymptote of your knowledge. Like with the MCAT, you can always learn more, and it's honestly luck of the draw on the test day. So you just got to put the work in.
Well, thank you. She's taken biochemistry and genetics at UT this summer, and then I think has like a physics class left or something in the fall, and then we'll take it. So that's her goal as well.
Awesome. Free to be a resource for anyone who's interested in going down that path.
Well, thank you.
So now, a lot of people think that Texas 4000 is a bike ride, and that's sort of where it begins and ends, right? And it's pretty clear that that's an important and highly visible part. But maybe you could talk about the other things that you did along this pretty much 2-year journey that's now culminating this week and culminating with tribute on Friday. That I'll certainly be there, and I'm looking forward to it. I won't be wearing my finery. I'll probably be watching in shorts instead. But can you talk about the journey? And I'll let any of you who want to lead off talk about. So what else is Texas 4000?
I can start that one off, I guess. I'll just say that if Texas 4000 was just a bike ride, I would have quit. Without a doubt, because there's too much. It's too much of a commitment, and there's too much that you do for your sole motivation to be only an athletic endeavor, and that's where the cancer fighting mission of spreading hope, knowledge, and charity really comes in for me, because waking up on those Saturday mornings, going on those rides through West Austin, where it seems like each hill is higher than the next, wouldn't be doable without our core mission. So for me, that also manifests in volunteering events that we do across Austin, panhandling, raising money from the Austin community, and really just spreading awareness about cancer everywhere we go.
I can go off of that as well. Yeah, it's definitely not just a bike ride. I think that is definitely our staple. It is like the event that attracts everyone's attention for sure. But we, from the time that we get into T4K, which it's an 18-month long commitment, and that in itself is like a big thing, is how much time you're putting into it. So we volunteer like 50 hours minimum within the community, going to various events, helping out with various cancer-related organizations and nonprofits, and fitness-related organizations and nonprofits. We also do fundraising throughout our whole 18 months. Everyone's required to fundraise $4,500 on the team. If you don't fundraise it, you don't get back to Alaska. So it's like taken very seriously. That fundraising is a big part of what we do. And that's the charity part of our 3 pillars, right? And then knowledge comes into it, where it's a big part of our purpose to spread awareness, especially like, I know on campus they've done skin cancer screenings. Some of our teammates have done that. And then throughout the bike to Alaska, typically we would be doing presentations in communities, telling people, giving cancer awareness to like signs and various things that are important to know. So it's definitely like a lot goes into it. We as a team are the ones that do all the work. I mean, we have a staff, but a lot of the brunt of the work is put on the team itself, and which is why it's also a leadership organization. It really pushes everyone on the team to take part and make a difference. And yeah, it's a really big undertaking. So it's been really cool. I know Summer and Ray can both say like T4K has definitely made a huge impact on our lives, and has grown us as people, undoubtedly. So yeah, I don't know. Someone, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, let me start pedaling really quick. I'm on an old 80s stationary bike. I don't have a trainer, so you guys wouldn't be able to hear me otherwise. But yeah,
It hasn't been oiled since the 80s either, right?
No, it really hasn't. But yeah, I want to echo what Ray said. If T4K was about the biking, I don't think I would have lasted. I didn't know how to ride a bike before I joined T4K, and I'm definitely not athletic. But like Bryn said, T4K is really more about cultivating leadership and just cultivating yourself as somebody who's a thoughtful member of the community. The amount of volunteering and fundraising and planning that goes into the ride, it's definitely behind the scenes, but I think it's definitely like the most important part of our time at Texas 4000.
Well, it looks like our colleague Lil Mills, the interim dean at the business school, is watching tonight. So thank you for joining us, Lil. We appreciate that. And now I understand one of the things that I think is pretty cool about this organization is it involves students from across the entire university. So I'm guessing that you met all kinds of people that you wouldn't have met otherwise in your colleges or in maybe the expected ways that people meet each other when they're at school. So I find that kind of a pretty cool thing. I understand, and so that it's not just the 3 of you who are riding tonight. There are a whole other cast of Texas 4000 riders who are on Zoom, and I think we're going to cut over to them and say hi. As soon as we can get that video up, we'll see who else is there. We go. So thank you all for joining us. And I introduce you now to the president of UT, Jay Hartzell, who is a big fan of Texas 4000. And I'm sure he's happy to see your exercising faces. They're not all smiling. They're working here. But so now, do any of you have questions for President Hartzell?
I don't think they can come in here.
Well, I'll start one off, and then you can think about your questions. Which he's used to being on stage and answering questions, hard questions, out of left field questions. So I'm sure. So here's one that's going to come out of left field. Now, Jay, I know you play a lot of tennis, and so if Texas 4000 was tennis, what would be the equivalent of? how would that work? It's not easy to pedal the miles. It's easy to count the miles. What would you do if there was a Texas 4000 of tennis?
Yeah, that's a great question. How long, Eric, does it take the riders in general to get from here to there?
About 70 days.
Oh my gosh!
This is when they do the real ride. They of course put in 2,000 or so training miles prior to that.
Wow!
But then it's a 70-mile journey along 3 different routes. Right? We've talked about the Sierra route. There's also a Rockies route and an Ozarks route.
Yeah, it's hard to think of any tennis equivalent of 70 days of riding across the country. I played 3 sets this weekend and felt like just completely done. So it must be some sort of equivalent of there's the famous match in Wimbledon that was John Isner, and it took 2 days. It must be like several days of that match over and over again.
Right.
So it would not be something that I think I could I could even imagine or try. So,
well, it is pretty remarkable, and I think what's accomplished. And another interesting thing about it is, and this kind of came up, and so I'd like if any of you want to comment and maybe just sort of share some stories about either yourselves or your teammates. Not everyone was, gearing up to be on the pro tour prior to joining Texas 4000. Some people I've learned had never ridden a bike. Many people had never clipped in, and most had never done century rides. So, Ray, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe what was your cycling background? Before this?
Definitely. So about a month after I got into Texas 4000, I got a bike for my birthday, and that was kind of the beginning because my parents realized that I was going to need to be whipped into shape a little bit. So I started commuting to school on my bike, but those were flat pedals, not clips. And so when we finally got our T4K bikes in October of this past year, it was my first time clipping into a bike, and it was a pretty it was pretty scary, taking falls and just having to eat the concrete was not fun. But then working with our teammates, slowly gained confidence on the bike, started riding 20 miles and 30 miles. And then our last ride before we got sent home was an 82-mile ride to Buc-ee's out in Bastrop.
Right.
And then just this past weekend, I actually rode my first century ride with some teammates. So it's been a consistent growth process for me, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without my teammates.
Well, terrific. How many of you, show of hands, how many of you have done what I've done, thankfully only a handful of times, have tipped over, still clipped in? It's more embarrassing than it is painful. It tends to happen. It happens to me when I'm stopped somewhere and there's maybe a car beside me, and then boop.
So many times. I don't think I had as many bruises on my legs as I did have in our first few months of riding. because you just fall. You just have to let it happen. I don't know.
So I understand there's quite a debate, and maybe Jay can weigh in on what he would say. But I think it's Round Rock Donuts or some tacos or something, right? So where do you stand on this particularly important question?
Is this for me or for them, Eric? What's the debate?
I'll let them start, because there's this debate about long rides that end up either at Buc-ee's or at Round Rock Donuts or at some taco place, and what is the most important food to inhale when you get to that, and what are the repercussions of doing so?
Well, I'm a little biased because I'm from Round Rock, actually. So Round Rock Donuts are definitely superior to anything else. There's nothing like it. Anyone from Round Rock could tell you. I grew up on that stuff, so it's good. If you haven't had them, you should.
I'm one of the few gluten-free people on the team, so I am not going to vote for Round Rock Donuts. My favorite snack is a Hershey's bar at any gas station we can find. That seems to get me through tough rides.
Yeah, and I think for me, the feeling after downing a bag of donut holes isn't the best, but yeah, I think Round Rock wins for me as well.
Okay, so there you have it tonight. The donuts. Here we go. The donuts are winning. We got a donut group.
I will say, sorry, it's kind of a 2,4K tradition to get taco joint tacos after a ride, because that's right across the street from where we ride out from every time. So that's where we are when we get back.
I like. Did you see Grayson's comment that the Buc-ee's has the better bathrooms?
That's true.
They're known for it.
Yeah.
So Jay, it looks like a question just came in to you about what advice you would give to recent UT graduates.
That's great. I guess a few things, and you should chime in too, Eric. I think, to me, one piece would be, do what you enjoy, do what provides you sort of some chance to learn some things and provide you flexibility to do things later. The first job is, for most of us, is not our last job. It doesn't have to be the perfect thing, but you want to learn, be in a company or an organization with a culture you like, where you like the people. I would say use the network. The alumni network is just amazing. And if you pick up the phone or reach out to somebody and try to get in touch and say, can we sit down and talk about what your careers look like, or tell me what you've learned, tell me what kinds of things I should be doing. I'm always impressed by how much our alumni want to help each other. And you all probably have heard the spiel, but we have about 500,000 living Longhorn alums. So one of the best parts of going to UT is that network. And so I would say take advantage of it. The other thing I think I would say, especially in today's environment with COVID, it's easy for me to say because I have a job now, but is to be patient, and it'll be okay. I feel like we're going through obviously a rough time for so many people, but I think we're going to come out of this, and the good times will return. So some sense of I hope you can all stay kind of in the moment a little bit and not get too freaked out about what we're all going through. Eric, what would you say? What would you add?
I would agree with you with everything you said. Is sometimes it's easy to get caught up, I think, when you're first graduating and say, oh my gosh, if I didn't get the best job to start or my dream job to start, or I'm not sure what I want to do. I've just finished 4 years or maybe more of college. I'm still not sure what I want to do. That's okay. That lots of us, most of us, maybe virtually all of us going forward are going to have multiple jobs, multiple directions. I know I couldn't have predicted my career at the beginning, and I couldn't have predicted it 10 or 15 years in, and it's taken different paths, and sometimes opportunities arise and you say, I want to do that. And sometimes they arise and you say, that's just not what I want to do. So keep an open mind. And I do think that, we have one of the greatest alumni networks around. So I'm not actually an alum, but given how long I've worked at UT, I have lots of UT clothing. So I go to places and I've got Longhorn things on around the world. And I can't tell you how many times people just sort of hook them, and there's power in this network. And you can call up people you don't know and just ask them, like so many people want to talk about themselves. That's what a lot of people are pretty comfortable doing. So if you ask someone like, I'm thinking of doing this, what do you think about this? You do that. Do you like it? What do you like about it? How would I go about doing that? They're going to be more than willing to speak with you. And here that in the questions here, in the comments here about Texas 4000 and UT, you've got great stories to tell about your Texas 4000 journey. It took a different path. Life takes different paths, but people will want to hear about what you did in every part of Texas 4000, and that will separate you in lots of conversations, and people will just want, tell me more. So, and how can we be a better part of the UT community? Well, that's a good one. I'm open to all kinds of suggestions. I think really highly. What I would like to see, one of the things I would like to see, and we've been working on it through some scholarships at in Texas 4000, is to really broaden the base of people who join the team, to sort of increase the diversity of the team. And I think if we could do that, then we enter all kinds of parts of the UT community that we haven't touched upon. I know a lot of riders ride because they knew someone who did it before, and that might be someone in the community they came from. So that kind of sometimes has sort of a self-reinforcing cycle to it. I would like to see us, the entire university say, tell me more about this Texas 4000. I'd like to be a part of it. And, if it fits what you're interested in doing, that'd be great.
Eric, have you seen anything on campus bringing together student organizations, things like Texas 4000 around, that are all united in fighting cancer? Like I was thinking about one that I've run into called Camp Kesem, that is also outstanding for a camp for kids who lost a parent or that kind of thing. So I wondered if there's a way to get collective cancer orgs at UT in some way united. Maybe they already are, and I don't know, but I was just curious.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Is one of the things that we know, that you and I know, is that there's all kinds of dots at UT, and connecting those dots sometimes leads to really, really powerful outcomes. And so that's something I know that there's leaders of T4K on our event tonight, as well as some of the staff. And I think that's a very actionable one that we can start looking into doing even more with the other, actively searching for all the organizations, seeing how we can partner together.
I think a good thing to do would be to get us all field passes for the home football games. I think that would really serve us pretty well.
Raymond, you're breaking up, Raymond. I couldn't hear you. Sorry about that.
I think it would be
Repeat it.
Raymond,
I'll repeat it.
You just got
ESPN, CBS, halftime. I think it'd be a nice little thing.
That's good. All right. It's funny you mentioned it too, because I'm sitting there thinking, I get this job and it's supposed to have perks to it. And I'm hoping I survive long enough to get any of the perks. And then like, what if we don't have football, or if it's not normal? I'm like, oh, that's kind of what a bummer. Like I'm excited. The president's office has courtside basketball tickets. And I'm like, I'm going to be president when there's no basketball. That's my number one. So, Raymond, I will be so happy if we all get to go to, DKR together. I'll see what I can do. It would be so much fun right now. Just to see humans together would be tremendous.
I agree.
So what are maybe you could give me a surprise, something that took place during your Texas 4000 journey that you didn't see coming, or that it's easy enough to see the bike ride, right? But what surprised you about your experience, and what will you take away from it that you think might have these could be two separate questions. What do you think will have kind of a longer term impact?
Like individually on a personal level?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like mental endurance is a really big part, especially with biking. And I think that having and building that endurance just for like anything that you do in life is really valuable. And I think that's something you just don't necessarily foresee before you're doing it. And I think that's something that I've taken away. It's like it's provided a different level of confidence of things that I'm capable of doing. Because I don't think anyone's like, oh yeah, I can bike 80 miles and like right when they're starting out, you don't know how to even clip into a bike. And then you do it and you're like, shoot, I can do that,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people walk away with that newfound confidence in their abilities to do things that they might have not thought they could do before. So I don't know.
That's a great one. That's a great one, because that, you in life there are hills to climb, literal and figurative ones. And after you've climbed a few literal ones, you look at these things, you say, like, it's just one pedal stroke at a time, right? One step at a time, I'll get past this. So, any other surprises? Come on.
Yeah, sorry, let me stop pedaling for a second. Right. Definitely, I think the biggest surprise for me in Texas 4000 has just been like how much I've grown. I started Texas 4000, like, not really buying into the whole leadership development thing. It was more of like this, like, the big physical aspect of the ride was really what got me. But yeah, I've just learned how to be a leader from my peers. Before, T4K, I used to think that leaders are like the tallest people in the room, the loudest people in the room. But truly, like, leadership is all about vulnerability. And just seeing the strength of so many of my friends, willing to be vulnerable and talk about like the most intimate parts of themselves to like a room full of 80 people has just showed me like what true strength is. And I'd really recommend T4K to anybody, who's looking for that kind of like experience that's not really physical, but more personal. And it just means like so much. It's honestly like hard even to describe, but yeah, I think the most surprising thing has been just my own personal growth and like my own definitions of what the world and what I can achieve and what the world can be. So yeah.
Well, that's great. Are you a fan of Brene Brown?
I am. I was actually at the talk and I saw you, President Hartzell, there. And I definitely took those lessons to heart. And everything she says is true. I've seen it in Texas 4000, that leadership is all about vulnerability. But yeah, it's a living lesson.
She's awesome, isn't she? I'm a huge fan. I would, if you haven't watched it, I think you can find a link to her commencement talk for us. And it's one of the top two. Eric and I get to hear a lot of commencement talks.
Yeah.
And it was one of the top 2 or 3 I've ever heard. It was, and it was, I thought, the right talk for the right time too, that we're all going through this. And, I thought it was great. So she talked about, for example, you can still change the world, but not on your timeline.
Definitely.
Which I think it was, if you haven't seen it, it was awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
You guys are all not in Austin. Well, Jay, you are, but I've been hunkered down in Colorado for the last little while, and I drove up here from Austin, and along the way, I listened to most of Brené's new podcasts
along
the way, and they were really pretty. They were terrific. So if you get a chance, and if you're a fan of hers, listen to them. And if you don't know what she's all about, give them a chance.
Definitely.
She's, it was pretty fun. Jay and I met her because she's working with the business school and with the university. And once this whole COVID thing stops, we hope to have her play, a really fun role. And she's a super fan of the university.
Mm-hmm.
That much is just, it oozes out of her. She just wants to talk about UT football and everything about how her life changed at UT. So the other thing that we should probably bring up is that Texas 4000, in terms of its connection, the question was, how do we connect with UT, and what can we do to do more? Maybe we could talk a little bit about the things that you know of that we've already done. So I know where we give back. One of our grant recipients has been biomedical engineering at UT, and that's actually one of my favorite stories, because we bring and we grant hundreds of thousands of dollars, but not hundreds of millions of dollars per year. And so the grants, some might think, well, some of them are modest grants. But my favorite story is we gave a grant, and I think it was on the order of $25,000 to some faculty in biomedical engineering. And that wasn't going to be enough for them to run the full-blown study that they needed to do, but it was enough for them to get preliminary data that allowed them to apply for a great big NIH grant, which they got, which then led to, impactful research later. And so we could kind of look at this and say, it doesn't have to be multi-million-dollar grants. This is a group of scholars at the university working on cancer-related research, and we can feel pretty darn good at getting that into process, right? And then there's DelMed has been the recipient of a number of grants. The broader UT community, MD Anderson has been an ongoing grant recipient. So what are the places that you were hoping most to visit with on your physical ride, the places maybe you had heard about and were looking forward to visiting?
For me, I was actually most excited to visit with some host families that had been with the organization for a decade, 15 years, and really just hear their story and hear what motivates them to house a bunch of crazy college kids for a night every year. So I think those are the conversations that I think I'd miss the most. Just really interacting with communities.
Yeah, me too. Ray and I, we both did we belong to the Bible community through Sierra. So we both got to interact with quite a few hosts that we were going to stay with along the ride. And so I think everyone was really looking forward to visiting hosts along the way, because they do so much for us, and they're the ones that really are a big part of us making it happen. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like along this Sierra route, there's so many beautiful places, it's hard to pick one. But yeah, I think meeting the hosts is a big thing that everyone was looking forward to. We actually got to go on a call with some hosts from Alaska today. We got to talk to them, and that was really special. So we've done a few calls throughout the virtual ride with hosts that we were supposed to stay with. So that's been pretty cool.
Well, I suspect that in terms of vulnerability and some of the other skills you've learned, just being able to reach out to people. And I know I've heard over and over the stories of having conversations with perfect strangers while panhandling, and just being better equipped to have those, sometimes challenging conversations. You do them a few times and you realize, I can do this. I can have this conversation. And I hope that you will reach out to some of those people in your travels. Once we get back to normal and we're traveling again, you'll be going through some of those places that you would have been meeting. And I would say, you know, anyone who reached out to me and said, you know, I was on the 2020 team and I was going to come through Steamboat Springs and I didn't. How would you like to get together? Either anytime. We'll talk about what might have been and how it might have been, and we'll just have a great conversation. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if we could go back to the Zoom riders, and if you could tell us who, you know, you could maybe introduce us to some of them, and tell them, you know, which of them are on. You know, I'll let you do the talking.
It's hard to see who's on there. I don't think they can talk to us, but these are all Sierra riders, so they're all on our route.
Okay.
Looks like we have Kathy.
We have Mahir, Anuj,
Annalena.
Lindsay.
I can't see. Lisa.
There's Lisa at the bottom.
And who's that in the middle?
I think that's Dom in the middle.
It says Alexandra.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's everyone.
And so all of you are Sierra riders tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us tonight and for putting in those miles safely.
Makes me feel kind of guilty, Eric, that I'm going to go have a beer at the end of all this. I feel like I should be exercising.
Well, you know, there is, for those who are over 21, which is most of the people here, probably all the people, there is a tradition in cycling that a beer is okay at the end.
Okay.
You know, it's been known to happen.
I am 21, so maybe I'll join you in that afterwards.
You've earned it.
I'm just over 21.
We're not carding. We're not encouraging, not discouraging, and we're definitely not carding. So, well, what other questions have you got for President Hartzell, or if there's anyone who is watching from afar and wants to comment and share, and if there's no questions, maybe Jay, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what you see the fall, what your hopes for the fall look like.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really interesting. I don't know how you all have been following it, but I mean, full candor. I think the mood has changed a little the last 2 or 3 weeks than it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. You know, I think we're a little bit more worried about how we're going to start, but you know, I think the plan is to do what we can do in person safely. We've been, as Eric, you know, we've been moving a lot of the larger classes online so that to free up classroom space so that we can move other classrooms into bigger rooms. So if we take classes over 100 people, those go online. Then a 40-person class can meet in a 100-seat classroom safely with distancing and that kind of thing. We're all getting used to masks. I gave my first kind of talk with a group with a microphone and a mask, and that took about 10 seconds or 15 seconds to get used to, but then it wasn't that bad after that. It did strike me as I posed for pictures that I was still smiling and nobody could tell. So I thought my eyes probably just wrinkled a little bit. But you know, we're getting used to that idea. It's also, I feel very lucky just as a top research institution. So we've got professors building out the ability to do a bunch of randomized testing that will be voluntary. And so there's a professor in one of the bio fields who's got a machine that we're now buying a robot to go collect the samples and feed the machine. And so when it's all built out, we should be able to do in the neighborhood of 1,400 tests a day to see how the health of the community looks. So it's the other thing I thought about, Eric, you know, the group that is working on the planning, and you've been part of those conversations too, is I think probably, you know, 250 PhDs in various fields all trying to figure out how to make the fall work. And so we're pretty lucky to get that kind of talent worrying about how to do this well. So, the main thing I think we're all having to get used to is where we think we'll be today might not be that way in 2 months, and we may have to adjust. So we may, things may get a little better, may get a little worse, and we may have to find ourselves being flexible and agile as things change. So good to see John show up in the comments. Hi, John. So one of our McCombs colleagues.
Yeah, and one of the things, Jay, that I share with all of you here is we've seen people like John and our faculty really step in to want to provide the absolute best education for students. And as we work through what do we need to do online, what can we do face to face, I've been really energized by so many of our faculty really want to do face-to-face education. This is they're like, how can I do this? What if I do this? What if I do that? They're really trying to uncover all the surmount all the obstacles that come their way. It's been really a pleasure to see how dedicated the faculty are and the staff to support them to the educational mission. And I think I always knew it was there because I work with them every day. But boy, the amount of stepping up and leaning into this has just been terrific.
And even I think cases where due to class size or health concerns, faculty are going to go online. I'm impressed that they're taking all the extra steps to do it really well. So I think a lot of times what we had to do in April, a lot of great work took place, but it was a very quick fix. And I'm optimistic that with months of planning, we'll be able to do some things and optimize some things so that the experience is better for the students, even when it is online.
Right. I think we're hoping that version 2.0 is substantially better. There was a beta version that got rolled out in a hurry, and thank you all for working through that with us, because
a lot of grace.
Because this this is not at all about faculty had to pivot, right? There was 50,000 students that had a pretty massive change imposed, and were helpful and friendly and willing to provide feedback, as they always do. And the feedback, I hope, was well received, and I know is having an impact on how, now that it's going to, likely to happen in some level in the future, we'll all benefit from that, though we wish we never had to. I do want to, before we're about to wrap up, and I want to thank Abbott, who's our presenting sponsor this year. They have been a terrific supporter of Texas 4000 and continue to be so. And so I do want to provide a shout out to them. And I want to encourage everyone who is able, who is listening in, you can come to Tribute, which will be on Friday evening. And if you go to texas4000.org, that it's streaming across, you can register for Tribute. It's a fundraising event. We'd be happy if you joined us, simply to show your support for these remarkable students who've gone through an amazing journey, who have found themselves, in the very disappointing position, in March. Or is this going to happen? In April? Is this going to happen? In May? How can we make something happen, to then ultimately making a decision to do what we're seeing tonight, which is the virtual ride. And I want to thank all of the T4K riders and the staff for their willingness to change, their resiliency, and their good spirits in doing this. It's for a great cause, and it's been disappointing, more so to you than anyone else, I'm sure. But I do want to recognize that and thank you all for all you're doing to make Texas 4000 keep that spirit alive in these very unusual times. And I hope that as many of the folks who are listening in can join us for tribute this Friday. I'm looking forward to it. I know there's going to be some great videos, some great conversations, some surprises. So texas4000.org, come and join us, and we'll celebrate your virtual crossing the line on Friday, right? Friday is the last ride day, and Friday night is the celebration of all the things you've accomplished. So congratulations to you and Jay. Thank you for joining us. I know that your schedule is pretty packed, and I appreciate you taking the time out to share with this terrific organization, and sharing a little bit about yourself and about the university and your objectives. So,
yeah, thank you, Eric. And I just want to say thanks to all the riders. And Eric and I know that one of the unfortunate shared experiences we have of losing our fathers to cancer. I lost mine when I was 11 years old, and it hits me every Father's Day. And I think about it. And so thank you for doing what you do. And let's hope that, fewer of us can lose our loved ones to this disease in the future. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, President Hartzell.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we usually end with a hook 'em, right? There we go. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
We good working out.
Another good one. So here's you have the information you need if you'd like to contribute to the organization, and we hope to see you at Tribute. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight.